And so we shall be speaking briefly to the president of the Law Society of Kenya, who is Eric Theru, who we shall be speaking to in just a bit, just to give us more, to shed more light on this in regards to the same. Bwana Theuri, thank you for joining us on NTV Weekend Edition. We are now live with the conversation with you, and we just like to pick it up on the matter of CASs. Just briefly, what would you say the biggest concern is for you as the society, the Law Society of Kenya, in regards to the chief administrative secretaries?
Thank you, Ben, for that. Our concern with this position is actually in terms of the numbers, because we have correspondence from the Public Service Commission that they were requested to create 23 positions, which is what they created. They were asked to advertise the 23 positions, which is what they advertised. But when it came to recruitment, the number was increased by 27. So therefore, the question that we have presented before the court is whether the president has power to create an office in the public service in disregard to the recommendations that have been made by the Public Service Commission. So our reading of the Constitution is that the president has power to create office in public service upon the recommendations of the Public Service Commission. And so therefore, if the Public Service Commission did recommend and actually created 23 positions, the question is whether the president can then, in disregard of those recommendations, create an extra 27 positions.
Talk about the fact that these CASs did not go through vetting in Parliament. The Speaker of the National Assembly wrote back, according to the State House, wrote back to the President saying that there is no provision in the Constitution for them to vet the CASs. What's your reading of that?
I really wouldn't want to comment on that so much, because it has no bearing to the case that we have presented before the court, but it just goes to demonstrate that this is a position that has not been properly thought out, to the extent that they sought parliamentary vetting while the law does not allow for vetting of those positions.
Okay. When we think about all this, there are a number of appointments which have raised some concerns, and the latest and pretty much the most significant one being the chief administrative secretaries. In light of the concerns you have that some of these are against the law, who should we hold accountable? Is it the president alone, or does the Attorney General also come into play here?
It's probably one of those questions where we say the person who actually took an oath to protect the Constitution and who's the foremost defender of the Constitution is the president. These are actions that are being conducted by the president. The Attorney General ought to advise the president accordingly in terms of what the law is. But also the president has other advisors, legal advisors, and so many other advisors, and he always must be guided by the Constitution. And so therefore, in this instant, we lay blame solely at the door of the president. He is the one who made these appointments. And you can even look at the actions subsequent to the appointment, where the appointees were invited for swearing in at 7 a.m. in State House so as to defeat the processes that were going on in court.
All right. And in light of the concern that you've raised that this has been an unconstitutional way of going about it, are there any legal consequences for the president?
Well, The matter is before the court. The court will make its decision, and after it has made its decision, then we will consider whatever consequences that may arise therefrom from the decision that the court would have given. So we would not want to go ahead of ourselves, because the matter is still being considered. It is live before court. It's going to come up on 28th for a mention. And so it is only after the court has given its decision that we can begin to talk about that and any consequences of the decision that the court may give.
All right. And in closing, these CASs have now been barred by the court from assuming office or being paid. What would the decision be? What would the decision be if, for example, we find them carrying out some of the duties? We'll probably see them going along with the president at various places. They might even be fixed into the protocol, for instance. Or is it something that we are sort of helpless about because it's the same administration is on that is meant to be implementing the court orders?
Well, the court has mechanisms to ensure that its orders are complied with, and we will be watching keenly if there will be any breaches of the orders that the court has given. We will take the necessary action. And also, we remember that when the president got into office, he did make a public pronouncement and made a covenant with the public that he will run an administration that will obey court orders, and we expect nothing less in this current scenario.
All right, and I'd said in closing, but in really closing now, just maybe a brief comment in regards to the CA's move to censor 6 TV stations in regards to the live coverage of the Azimio demos. There have been the arguments that CA was overstepping its mandate. Just for clarity and avoidance of doubt or assumption, what is the legal position of such a situation? Is CA out of line with this?
Yes, clearly the Communications Authority is out of line, and that is why the Law Society, together with Katiba Institute and other public-spirited organizations, have moved to court to call for that letter for purposes of quashing, because it amounts to censorship. The court has agreed with us and has given us a leave to challenge that letter. And so we think that in an open democratic society, the directions or the contents of the letter that were given by the Communications Authority are outrageous and do not conform to the current democratic environment that currently obtains, and it amounts to an unnecessary restraint on the freedom of the media. And so therefore we hope that the court will eventually agree with us and quash the notices that were issued to the various media houses.
Thank you very much, Eric Theory, who is the president of the Law Society of Kenya, for giving us your insights in regards to those 2 key matters, one being the chief administrative secretaries, as well as the Communications Authority saying that media houses should not take live or broadcast live the Mandamano Monday or Mandamano Monday and Thursday now. And we shall be taking a short break, but we still have more news on various issues in the course of this bulletin, including how the DCI have broken the law. Stay with us.